Venom, the lethal protector, is not your standard vanguard. While most vanguards stand between their allies and the enemy team, blocking shots or locking down a point, stopping the enemies from coming in, Venom's just out there being a problem. With his popularity as a character and his low difficulty rating, Venom is really attractive for new players to pick up as a vanguard. However, he's probably one of the worst vanguards for new players to play. He'll swing in, smash down on the enemy team, cause a bunch of chaos, and just before he dies, swing himself away, either swinging himself back to his team to receive some healing, or swinging himself off into the unknown where he'll wait around until he can be a problem once again. Venom doesn't really work as the only vanguard on a team because he's not really there to protect his allies. But he does cause a lot of chaos, and he does bring a lot of enemy attention towards himself, which is his job as this type of dive vanguard. His basic tech, Dark Predation, is going to send out 4 tentacles that go at about 15-meter distance. Each one deals its own hit of damage, and they can headshot. This is the strongest basic attack of any of the vanguards, and Venom can do a lot of damage to enemies if he gets in close. You're going to want to spend a lot of time jumping and aiming downwards towards your enemies. This increases the chance that you get a headshot with your different attacks because you're coming in from a higher angle, and more of the head hitbox is available to you. Because the tendrils come out from your back and wrap around, be careful not to get too close to your enemies when you're trying to take a target out. Your tendrils may go around them and you'll miss doing any of your damage. If your target's sticking too close to you, you can use your melee ability to get some damage out if you're not able to hit them with your tendrils due to their close proximity. Other than that, weaving a melee hit into the end of your tendrils can cause an extra little burst of damage in the same amount of time, allowing you to take out a target in 2 volleys instead of 3. Just be careful with this, not to animation cancel your tendrils with the melee, and to make sure that you're within melee range when you're doing this. Venom's right-click ability, Cellular Corrosion, attaches him to all nearby enemies and applies a slow. After a delay, it will deal a chunk of damage to any enemies that are still attached to him. In combat, you're going to be using this to stick to your priority target and make it so that enemies might want to move away, giving you a little bit more time on who you're hitting. Venom's E ability is Symbiotic Resilience. This is going to cause him to gain a massive amount of bonus health, and the amount of bonus health gained is going to be in proportion to how much missing health that you have. Use this ability when the enemy team has focused in on you so you can gain a massive shield and be a problem a little bit longer. Though do be careful to make sure you get this shield off before the enemy team CCs you and nukes you after you get below 50% health. Now there's been a lot of talk about getting in there and what to do once you are, but how do you get in there in the first place? First up is the left shift, which will give him a swinging tendril. This will give him a big swing and then he'll release and launch himself up into the air. Gives you some massive movement speed and makes you very hard for enemies to find. Swinging around, leaping up above the enemy team, and landing somewhere that they can't see you, waiting for the opportunity to be able to jump down and eviscerate their backline. This is both your main engage as well as your main escape ability. When you're starting off as Venom, you're probably going to want to leave easy swing on, which means when you hit shift, it's instantly going to pick a location above you, attach on, and swing you away. However, once you get better at Venom, you're going to want to go into the settings and turn off easy swing. This is going to make it so instead, when you hit shift, you shoot a tendril out towards your crosshair. The advantage of this is that you can use this on any piece of terrain and there doesn't have to be something above you for it to attach onto. You can even grab onto the ground right in front of you and pull yourself directly forward. Now anytime Venom is in the air a little bit higher than jump distance, he gains access to his F ability, Frenzied Arrival. This is going to cause him to slam down on a location and knock up enemies that are hit. It does a small amount of damage, but damage isn't really the point of it. It's to get you into the action and start causing disruption. As soon as you slam down the enemy team, they're going to be panicking, trying to figure out what just hit them and looking around for a target. The target is going to be you. Venom's ultimate, Feast of the Abyss, causes him to dive underground. After a delay, or on left click, you'll devour all enemies within your circle. This will do a chunk of damage to your enemies, and it'll give you bonus health based off how much damage you dealt with it. The higher the HP of the targets, the more damage and the more health that you gain. So you definitely want to be using this to initiate fights rather than to end them. Venom's ultimate combo is to smash right-click ult and then tendrils. Should kill your priority target immediately. At that point, brawl with those around you and use your shield to keep yourself healthy, and then swing away once you start to feel an ounce of danger. Venom gives a team-up bonus to the Parker family. Both Spider-Man and Penny Parker gain a special ability when Venom's in the game, which allows them to unleash a symbiotic attack around them. While not super influential for Penny, it does allow Spider-Man to have a near insta-kill combo. Now, while being a frontline Vanguard is not Venom's specialty, his damage output with his tendrils is still pretty significant, and he has a lot of health to get through. If you need to be defending your allied team, you can stand in front of them blocking some shots and using your shield to gain that extra bonus health. Assessing when it's the best time to hang out with your allies versus when you should be slamming into the opponents is going to be the key to mastering Venom, and you're going to have to get used to both styles of play. Like all the other spiders, Venom is a wall crawler. Hit the space key along a wall and you'll begin climbing. You can hold the left key down while climbing to begin a run animation. Climbing up walls, finding a vantage point where you can look out at your enemy team, and planning your dives is going to be key to the strategy on Venom. I recommend going into the settings and have hold the wall crawl turned off, hold to run on walls turned on, in the direction of wall crawling towards your crosshairs. Then jump yourself into the training grounds and practice crawling on walls and controlling your movement. It can be a little bit disorienting trying to control where Venom's actually going to go, and it's a little bit different than standard movement, so getting used to this is really important. You don't want to be attempting to wall crawl and get stuck mid-game. You want to have a concept of how to perform this ability before you get into player matches. We've talked about the fact that he doesn't have the same playstyle as all the other vanguards, but let's also talk about the fact that he's not particularly effective unless he has a coordinated team. You'll usually find yourself doing a little bit of damage, popping your shield, and needing to find an escape immediately. This is because you're playing him wrong. There are two core jobs to Venom. First is to disrupt the enemy backline, and the second is to take a bunch of attention upon himself so that your teammates can do what they need to do. Just swinging into the enemy team every opportunity you have as Venom is just going to result in you getting CC'd and killed. You need to time his dive to the rest of your team being ready. He really shines when he's paired up with another diver, and coordination with that other player is a necessity. When they're ready to go, even a quick "I'm ready" in a chat will allow you to know when it's time to go in and smash. Smash into the enemy team and grab all the attention towards yourself, while your allied duelist comes in and takes out the squishy soft targets. It'll be harder for the enemies to react to the other duelist because you've already slammed in and taken all of that attention, likely received a bunch of CC upon yourself, and you're doing enough damage to be threatening. If another duelist is able to take out their strategists or high damage dealers while you're there being a problem, and then you're able to shield up and get out, you did your job. If you slam in and nobody dies and no objective is gained on your side, you just wasted your time. Some critical moments to know when it's a great time to swing in, even when you're alone, is if the enemy has begun to push in on you and their frontliners have separated from their backliners. If there's enough of a decent gap there and you're able to smash into what remains of the backline, stopping the healers and getting a lot of tension on yourselves, the enemy vanguards and dive duelists no longer have the support they need to stay alive, and your team should be able to mop them up while you're distracting the enemy heals. The only time you should ever slam into the enemy team when their duelists and vanguards are around that area is that you're prepping for an allied ultimate that needs a distraction to go off, or you're trying to secure an objective before time runs out. The rest of your time for Venom should be spent either as a frontline tank for your team, taking attention from the enemy damage dealers and being healed up by your allies, or just silently waiting off screen for the perfect moment to strike. That's all I've got today for you for Venom. Next time we're going to talk about Thor, the best secondary tank. Venom always needs a partner, and Thor is an amazing choice to have in your games if you already have another Vanguard.
Sazaze.